Let's stay up with the violence. Let's go back. Let's go forward 5 years, in fact. Extreme Rules 2012, the pay-per-view right after WrestleMania that year in Miami. Cena had just lost to The Rock. He's standing in the ring at the end of the show the next night. The heavily rumored return to WWE happens in the form of Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar comes back. Now, if you didn't know about it at the time, he comes back by himself. I know Brock Lesnar, other than what's happened in recent years with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar is, when you saw him since the comeback, which happened here in 2012, he was typically with Paul Heyman until Paul Heyman ended up with Roman Reigns. When Brock comes back in 2012, he's by himself. And he walks in the ring that night, and he F5s John Cena, and Miami's going nuts, and it is a Raw After Mania crowd. It's the right crowd for the return, and that leads to Extreme Rules 2012. So Cena had just lost to The Rock, which is a very important point to make. They're going to go back at it the next year, and it's not going to be as good at WrestleMania 29. But how do you get Cena back? Well, you put him in there with Brock. I wrote this down when I was kind of putting this list together. I said it's the best fight in WWE history. And it is a fight from the jump. There is a spot to the outside. And for those that didn't see it, I don't want to go in too great a detail because it's so good, where, I mean, it looks like a fight from the jump. It looks like they kill each other right away. And there's chains and there's steps, and it's a hard way with blood. I mean, it is an absolute brawl. Nothing looks realer on that card than that match, because nothing could have been, because Brock brought it. Brock had not been in a WWE or F ring in such a long time. I guess at that point it would have been, he left in 2004 because Mania 20 was 2004. He had been 8 years since he had wrestled in a WWE ring. And this was a different presentation of Brock Lesnar. This was the MMA shorts with the Jimmy Johns and all that stuff. The Brock Lesnar from 2022 to even present day was different than the original version of Brock Lesnar. Original version was next big thing with the tights and more wrestling character stuff and weekly appearances on television. The Brock Lesnar that showed up in 2012 and has been around, on and off ever since then was MMA Brock, was UFC Brock, was real Brock, if I could put it in such a way. And him and Cena have an absolute fight. Now, Cena wins this match, which I think most people disagree with that, because Brock had just come back. Why would you beat him? And I don't think they knew what they really had with Brock Lesnar and started to learn it. And then he's able to get Paul Heyman by his side, and obviously things change in a very different way over the next couple of years. And obviously ahead of their SummerSlam match, which I thought about putting on here, but that's more of a moment. You know what? There might be a top 5 John Cena moments video coming in the future, so keep an eye out for that. But Cena Brock, Extreme Rules, 2012, an outstanding fight. Cena fighting for his life and being able to do it. Cena's a big, giant dude himself, but you think of him in a wrestling way. Brock Lesnar went in there to fight John Cena, and that's exactly what they did. Happening in Extreme Rules, bloody weapons. It looked ugly. It didn't look pretty. It didn't look planned, if you want to, really pull the curtain back. It looked like they wanted to kill each other. And Cena, more so Brock trying to kill Cena, Cena fights for his life during that match. It's an ugly, fantastic fight. You should go out of your way to watch. Extreme Rules 2012, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. No championships on the line. But man, if you want to feel something in a match, you want to feel every hit, go watch that one. Brings us to number 2. Fast forwarding 4 years. In the Barclays Center, SummerSlam 2016, AJ Styles against John Cena. There's a soft spot for me with this match because I had always been an AJ Styles fan. I had met the man. I'd followed his career in Ring of Honor and followed his career in TNA. Met him in TNA. He's synonymous with that brand. And, he had gone to New Japan and did such great work with the Bullet Club and became IWGP champion from the jump there. And was over. And finally was getting a lot of interest. And it was at the time when it was like, is it really going to happen? Is AJ actually going to end up in WWE? The one true, great, unbelievable wrestler of the, the late 2000s into the 2010s. Is he finally going to make it to WWE? A guy who was on Nitro, who was in WCW in the last dying months of the company, who had a chance to come to WWE and said no because he didn't want to move his wife, who was starting her own career. The opportunity came back around. Here you go. Here's AJ right here. This actually exists. This is an AJ Styles Nitro figure when he wore the maroon tights. He was on the 2001 roster. He was battling for the Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. Air Raid, Air Paris, all that stuff. Would he ever get the chance? And he does, and he ends up in the Royal Rumble. And this feud starts because AJ turns on Cena and joins Gallows and Anderson. And these two battled because, there was the six-man match with Enzo and Cass and the club, and Cena won at Money in the Bank. But they come back at 2016 at SummerSlam, and it was one of those matches that if you had watched AJ Styles and had watched John Cena and followed their careers, you went, well, AJ won already at Money in the Bank. They're not going to do it again. They're not going to let him beat him again. It's not going to happen. Because I actually thought back to the year prior. Well, Owens beat him once. It won't happen again. And it didn't, which was kind of a bummer. And I remember the arguments. Well, he made him on that night. Okay. But this was one of those like, well, he's not going to lose again. Cena doesn't lose twice like that. That just doesn't happen. And they go out there and they have an outstanding SummerSlam match that lived up to the billing of it being a SummerSlam match. And they do it at Barclays. They do it in Brooklyn. So that crowd is behind AJ Styles. And they crush it. I mean, they have a great match. And I know I mentioned earlier the Royal Rumble 2017 match. And people do think that's better, and that's fine. I understand why people think that one's better. I understand that it should theoretically peak with the end of the feud. And if you want to say it did, I'm okay with that. I think it's a personal call because AJ won. On a night where AJ probably would have gone in as the underdog. If you were a betting man or woman, you would have went, well, Cena hasn't beaten him yet. AJ's got to lose one back. And he didn't. And he beat Cena. And as we know, AJ would go on to become WWE champion until they would meet again at the Royal Rumble in 2017, where Cena would win the title back, only to drop it to, as I mentioned earlier, Bray Wyatt, before Bray would go into a feud with Randy Orton and the bug projector anyway, we don't have to talk about that. But I wanted to look because I knew the three matches they had off the top of my head. And I said, well, wait a minute. I know they were in multi-man matches before, and they were in that Elimination Chamber match, and they were in that right after Bray won the Chamber match, he had a triple threat with Cena and AJ that week of SmackDown and won again, and they were really trying to get him over, and he was over as a babyface, and they did all stuff with Randy, it just didn't work out. But I looked and I went, okay, so after the Rumble, it's AJ 2, Cena 1. And I looked, and Cena beat AJ in about a 23-minute match in Los Angeles in 2018. So they came back to it a year later. The one-off. So, in terms of televised matches, because house shows really don't count. In terms of televised matches, Cena 2, AJ 2. I recently did an episode of The Wrestling Mat where I discussed people that I'd like to see John Cena face or get in the ring with, whether it be Randy Orton or CM Punk or someone new like Gunther. And a lot of people were talking in the comments, and I appreciate all you guys for doing so, and nobody brought up AJ. And as I was putting this together, I went, Cena AJ one more time, especially where AJ's at in his career right now. think I want to see that one more time. Cena's got 36 dates. I hope AJ gets to be one of those dates because they're 2-2. The all-time WWE superstar, the guy who was meant to be the WWE superstar, meant to carry the company, meant to hold the top title, John Cena. And then AJ Styles, who would seem like would never make it to WWE and is now past 8 years in the company. Two guys that we never thought would cross paths, had unreal chemistry. And as we come up on 2025 with John Cena announcing his career winding down and AJ probably not being that much further away, they're 2-2. I think we need a fifth match. Hey, this is Matt Camp. Thanks for checking out one of our recent clips from the Wrestling Mat. Why is someone so close to The Rock kind of throwing Cody under the bus?
Yeah, a lot of people won't engage with Jim Cornette. I did, just because I have a mark for Jim Cornette. And
Please subscribe right now. Hit the like and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And I think you should listen to your TV partners. Let me tell you about WWE and a little insight. More subscribers means more content. And make sure you follow us on social media at WrestlingMat23 on both Twitter and Instagram.